You know, I might be one of those people that you just can't make happy, but that wouldn't be true. The Detroit Lions destroy the Tennessee Titans in a game that they should have won the way that they've won it. There's no doubt about it. I believe that this team could crush them, and they did. The Tennessee Titans offense was terrible. Calvin Ridley was their only offensive weapon, and their defense did not disappoint. It was Ridley, their special teams. Jared Goff didn't even have to do anything. Monty didn't have to do anything. Jahmyr Gibbs, big run. Khalif Raymond, touchdown. Khalil Dorsey, big run. Barely had to do anything. Offense was in the red zone. They went 5 for 5, I think the stats said. So the Detroit Lions did what they were supposed to do. But you see it from the banner. Brad Holmes needs to finish the job. Here's what I mean. The Detroit Lions sacked Mason Rudolph one time. And that sack was by a linebacker. So if you're following, since we lost Aiden Hutchinson, we have a total of 5 sacks, and one of them is from a defensive lineman. That is Josh Pascal, who didn't play today. Now, granted, Josh didn't play today, but how much of a difference will he have really made? So don't get me wrong, I'm happy. 6-1, nothing to complain about. Last year, I told you guys that we needed a pass rusher. I felt that a pass rusher, a difference-making impact pass rusher, was the difference between a Super Bowl berth and losing the NFC title game. I still feel the same way now. And the NFL did a fantastic job in delaying the trade deadline by 1 week. We've got a whole plethora of jam-packed teams, log jams, of logical players that we could draft or trade for at the trade deadline. The trade deadline would usually be in 48 hours, but instead, you can add it's in 9 days. There's one more game that needs to happen. If the Detroit Lions don't go all the way, I'm going to blame Brad Holmes. I'm not going to pick on Aaron Glenn anymore. I'm not going to pick on Dan Campbell and his fourth down aggression. I'm not going to pick on Jared Goff and his MVP caliber numbers. I'm not going to pick on Ben Johnson and his third quarter woes up until this game. I'm going to pick on one man. Yes, the man that has built this team to get where it needs to go. The man that I just made a video about last night about making the tough decisions, and I appreciate that. But Brad, you got another one to make, man. And as a matter of fact, this shouldn't be that tough. Trade for an edge rusher or 2 or 3 at the trade deadline. It is time. Mason Rudolph was barely touched today and was only sacked 1 time. Jared Goff, with our coveted defensive line, was sacked 4 times. Now, again, if the Lions had a top 10 offense last year, we win the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs are struggling. They're 7-0, but they're struggling. There's no offense in the National Football League like the Detroit Lions, and we were missing Jamison Williams. Brad Holmes, you have 4 years. You've made that secondary stout. You've put a ton of resources into the secondary. If you don't think that the Detroit Lions need a pass rush and a pass rusher, what does that say about your general manager ability? Now, we know that you're trading for a wide receiver. You don't have the greatest track record. Don't get mad at me. That's the facts. Trinity Benson, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, you can attempt to trade for someone. That's fine. And we may never know if he actually attempted to trade for someone. Rumors has it we tried to trade for Danielle Hunter. I think we did because Brad Holmes was looking mighty upset when he did his press conference, but that's unconfirmed. So, Brad, all I'm asking you to do is try. That's it. But if you don't get a pass rusher at the trade deadline, a difference maker, it is time to address it somehow, some way this offseason. Free agency and or the draft, there's no excuses. There's none. The Tennessee Titans, their strength is their defense. It showed up today. We didn't score a bunch of yards. We didn't get a bunch of yards at all. Jared Goff had, 85 yards passing, but I think you minus the sack yards. So there was a total of 61 passing yards. He had 85, but it was 61 because he was sacked 4 times, I think for a loss of 24 yards, and that's where the difference is. He didn't have to do much. But the first play of the game was a sack. The first play of the game on the defensive side on the offensive side for the Detroit Lions was a sack. I mean, Jared Goff got creamed, absolutely destroyed. Their defensive line was making our offensive line, one of the best, if not the best in the league, look like Pee-wee today. We could barely sniff Mason Rudolph. I will say this. I was impressed by the pressure of Isaiah Thomas, the newcomer, practice squad guy, and Mohammed. They never got home, but they almost did. They played well considering where they are coming from. James Houston had a few flashes as well. I'll give him his flowers. If we don't go all the way, I'm pointing the finger at Brad Holmes. See, if you're the general manager, you got to take the good with the bad. See, we want to praise Brad Holmes for building the team the way that he's done. And yes, he deserves it. But he also, I've been saying this to you guys all off season long. Eventually, you got to blame someone. Is it the players? Is it the coaching? Is it the general manager? Is it the ownership? Sheila has done her job. She's put the people in place. She got the heck out the way. Now it's Brad Holmes. He's done all this stuff, right? Now, you can't control losing Marcus Davenport, losing Aiden Hutchinson, but let's be real. Was Marcus going to make a difference? Probably not. Now you're behind the 8-ball, all right? I'm not saying that you have to trade for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying is, you understand that you are missing some things. We cannot get to the quarterback. Ever since Hutch went down, it is consistent. You see what happened last week? Those 4 sacks they were sacks on stats, right? But they weren't really, if you look today, 1 sack. When we played a bad football team. We played a bad quarterback. If we play a good football team with a good quarterback, we don't not necessarily lose that game, but I mean, we destroyed them as we should. If we play a team like, I don't know, next week, we'll see against the Green Bay Packers. I'm not sure if Jordan Love will be there or not, but regardless, we've had 3 years, 3.5 at this point. I have personally held Brad Holmes accountable this entire time. It's time. Dan Campbell, we hold Dan Campbell accountable for his bonehead 4th down, or what we call bonehead 4th down decisions. We hold Jared Goff accountable if he fumbles, throws an interception, quick to point the finger. Aaron Glenn for myself, who's been playing lights out. I mean, he's been coaching lights out. It's been tough. He's been doing a fantastic job. Was it the personnel? Was it the coaching? Who else is left to blame? The players can only play, and they've been doing as good as they can. We got a practice squad. Our 2 defensive ends are practice squad defensive ends. If we don't win or make the Super Bowl, I'm blaming Brad Holmes. There's no doubt. You got to take the good, and you got to take the bad. That's it. 1 sack by a linebacker. 1 sack by a linebacker. I went from wearing the clown suit guaranteed to now not even close. It ain't even in my cart. I took it out my cart. We got 10 games left. I'm not anywhere close to the clown suit. Not at all. I want to see how many sacks. Now, again, we won the game. And that's why I want you guys to understand, for me, it's not about winning and losing. Sacks necessarily don't mean, we can get no sacks. Okay, so we can get no sacks and win. We can get 7 and lose. But my thing is, when we get 2 and we play the right team, for instance, the San Francisco 49ers last year, we have somebody opposite Hutch. We win that game. We go to our first ever Super Bowl, and we beat a Chiefs team that has started their descent. The Chiefs have been the most beneficial 7-0 team I think I've ever seen. Just whatever can go right, and Lil Rev help does go right. Now, the Detroit Lions currently have 20 sacks with the 1 today. And 1, 2, that's not the right. Thought I had it queued up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. This number right here. We are at the brink, the cusp of greatness at this point. We are 10th in the league. in sacks. How many have winning records? The Denver Broncos, the Houston Texans, the Baltimore Ravens, the Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and us. And we're 10th. 5 of the 10 teams in the top 10 in sacks have winning records. With the offense that we have, we win the Super Bowl if we can consistently get to the quarterback. Because there's going to come a game like a Brock Purdy, like in the playoffs, because this stuff is fine. These games leading up to the playoffs are fine, trying to get seeding at this point. But when it's time for do or die, and we need to get to the quarterback, we just can't do it with the defensive line on a consistent basis. If this game against a bad team and a bad offensive line shows you that we don't need or doesn't show Brad, we've been talking about it. You guys are now on my side. Like, yo, I see what you've been talking about for all this time. But does Brad see it? And listen, I understand that the game changers might be off the table. I get it, bro. I get the Myles Garrett. I get the Max Crosby, who lost today. One team won, one team, the Raiders lost. There are going to be some, this is why the trade deadline was pushed back, man. I'm telling you, bro, this next 9 days, specifically that 48 hours between the week 9 games and the trade deadline is going to be massive. The Cincinnati Bengals lost. They're now 3-5. They could very well, they play the Raiders. They play the Raiders. I'm not sure the Raiders win that game. If the Cincinnati Bengals are 4-5, they're not selling. If they're 3-6, they might. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost today. Trayvon Walker, somebody we can look at. I really starting to think that Trayvon is for sale. I really believe that. 100%. But the team we face today, or week 8, the Tennessee Titans. Arden Key, journeyman defensive end. Harold Landry wasn't a big factor. Getting to the quarterback. I'm telling you, man, we just need that one guy or those 2 guys to take us over the top. Now, Josh Uche was held out today. He's probably going to be traded next week. He was a healthy scratch against for the New England Patriots. He's probably going to be traded. I really, really see Zadarius Smith and Josh Uche. And you know what? I'm content. I'm content with that. Facts. We're going to have to make some moves, though, to create room for those guys. So let me know. Brad, it's on you, bro. Everyone else has taken responsibility. We blamed everyone else. It's now time to blame or focus, put some responsibility on the man that, yes, the good with the bad. See, a lot of Lions fans, they want to toot the horn of Brad Holmes. Of course, he's done a great job. But can't you see that we are rolling? We are rolling, bro. 6-1, the best start since 1956. My mom wasn't even born in 1956. Another opportunity that we have to dominate and finish this thing. All I'm asking is for Brad Holmes to try. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Unrelated. Today is a special day. It is the 3rd anniversary of Lions Syndicate. And we hit 24,000 subscribers today. Not a coincidence. It was meant to happen. 3 years ago, earlier this week, coming home from the LA Rams, Detroit Lions, went to SoFi, got to see Santa Monica Beach, Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, the Ferris wheel, ride bikes, walk on the beach, all that stuff. Got to experience first real sight of Teslas before they really migrated to Michigan and where we live. Now they're all over here, but at that time they weren't here. I want one, by the way. But I got on the plane and I was like, you know what? I was terrified of starting a new channel, taking a risk. And I did it. And it was the best decision I've ever made, like on YouTube. And now 3 years later to the day, we are at 24,000 subscribers, well on our way to 25K. We have a real shot to grow 1,000 in the next 9 days and get to 25K by the trade deadline. That is a quarter away to a plaque. Like, it's crazy. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for making this happen. And again, for those people in the back, I am the #1 independent Detroit Lions content creator on YouTube. That means I have no affiliation with any digital media group. I have no affiliation with anybody backing me outside of you guys. You are backing me, the viewer, the subscriber, the member, the fan. And it was a joy to see as many people as I could at the stadium. I'll just say this and I'll wrap the video up. Saw an individual, a young man who was sitting in his seat. I was sitting in, shout out to John, hooked me up with the seats. I was sitting in 138. He was, the young man was sitting in 118. So that's the other end zone. I walk over there, and if you tell me you're at the stadium, I'm really going to try to see you if I can. So I walk over there, and we chop it up, and he was super excited to meet me. He said he was a fan. He said his girlfriend gets irritated because I'm always on the TV. So shout out to your girlfriend. You know who I'm talking about. Shout out to your girlfriend. I wish I would have got a chance to meet her today. I said, I appreciate you for rocking with me, man. He said, you could be anywhere else I could be anywhere else on YouTube, but I choose to rock with you. And I was just like, my man. So it's crazy. So shout out to you. Shout out to your girlfriend. Shout out to everybody I saw that stopped me in the hallway and said, what's up? And if you didn't and you saw me, what's up? I appreciate you, right? We just getting started. We are just getting started. I promise you that, all right? This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. Brad Holmes, all I'm asking is for you to try. Help us go all the way. Offense is rolling. The defense is almost there. We get a legit pass rusher. And we get the hope of Hutch coming back for the Super Bowl. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And you see it, man, Khalif. The team deserves that. The city deserves that. Brad, it's on you, man. The players are doing their job. The coaches are doing their job. Continue to do yours. Bring us somebody who can get to the quarterback. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. Thank you for 24,000. And as always, go Lions. But you can be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. I'll see you next video.